guess just how's the mini bye for you guys? Just kind of obviously a tough way to end the last week, but just how's the bye for you guys?
It was terrific, and we got a lot of stuff done, and when you're just going game after game, it's recovery, it's scouting, it's hard to get a lot of stuff that you need to get done for your team without wearing them out. And so, that was a tough little stretch, a lot of games and a lot of days, and all 3 or 4 on the road, and some big emotional ups and downs, and so it was great to have a few moments to catch our breath, gather ourselves, and work on some of the things we want to work on.
I know you had told BJ changes were coming out. Know what you want to share, or if you want to share anything, but are there any insights you can give us on what some of those changes might be?
No. Because the interesting thing about this team is I'm still evaluating everything day to day to day, and there's always the recency bias, and so you got to always look at the big picture, but there's not clarity, but maybe there is clarity in a whole nother way that I'll maybe explain later, but we're working hard at it, and it's interesting. But I think part of this is just the changing era, and you got to keep adjusting to that, and part of the adjustment of the changing era is rosters that are going to change. You don't have I've known this guy for 3 years, I know what I'm getting out of him, I've had this guy, coach this guy for 3 years or 2 years. You don't have as much of that anymore, and so it throws more variables into the equation, and that's just the way it is. That's what we got to figure out, and we got to be able to adjust on the fly. And so I think this is more of what you're going to see in the future. This is more of the norm than the old, here's our starting lineup on day one, and it's going to be the same for 30 games. Plus, the starting lineup is always something that's a bigger deal to the old ways, and you start these 5 guys and then you give them a 2-minute rest and you play them all 35 minutes. It's probably not the reality anymore. It doesn't really matter who starts, it's the rotation and who's out there the most and who's playing good. And I think that's when you can slice it any way you want, but that's what I'll say is that the reality is I just have to figure out who's playing good during each game and go there as much as I can.
Is there a difference between being, and maybe you're just kind of going through this process and learning this right now, you've always been a developmental coach, now you have to be a transfer portal coach.
Yeah.
Is there a difference?
Oh yeah, there is. And I think as a developmental coach, like I said, you see these guys when they're sophomores and juniors in high school, and you're projecting of, okay, well, here's their road and here's their road map for their success. Here's what they're going to be like when they get there. And you have this whole vision built out, and all of a sudden, as a transfer portal situation, you don't know all that history and where they came from maybe, and their journey and what they went through and how they reacted in all these different situations. And, because you didn't watch 3 years of their high school and 3 years of their summer, and so maybe you just don't have the knowledge that that all that background knowledge that helps contribute to being able to coach them the way they need to be coached, be able to develop them the way and then get the things out of them that you think you're going to get out of them.
I know the plus minus isn't everything in basketball. I mean, a guy like Jaden was plus 18 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is he? I know he's been one of those guys that's been up and down at times this year, but is he at the point where maybe you try to give him a little bigger role?
Well, we've tried in the last 2 games, and the only reason I wasn't able to, because foul trouble, right? And so that becomes a guessing game too, because do I take him out now so we can have him the last possession? And then those are just guessing games, and that. So a big part of his minutes is based on his ability to guard without fouling and good technique, all that kind of thing, because he's a physical player, and so that's important. Because hey, he's playing great. You're right. We want him to play more minutes.
I mean, those games in the Cayman where he kind of took over.
Yeah.
You kind of just keep going back, knowing that's in there too. I mean, you see some of the flashes that he has, and kind of think he can be an all-league player here?
No doubt, no doubt. And I've thought that all along. But like I said, you know, he and I talked actually a couple of weeks ago, and I said, hey, the whole key is for me to, you know, because the guys want to stay out there more. I'm like, the whole key for you playing more is your ability to guard without fouling and be physical without fouling. And so that you know, that's a challenge for him, and he'll help the team when he can do that a little bit better. It'll help us defensively, and it'll help him stay on the court.
Last week you talked about changes, so over these last 4 or 5 days, even if you don't want to talk about the
Mhm.
changes yet, what were your priorities?
My priorities was the guys that are just gonna let it rip, the guys that are gonna play really hard defensively, rebound, and then I still have to. With that being said, I still have to put the pieces together. So just because I started someone doesn't mean, well, I didn't see something great with this guy. But you know, the other thing that you're faced with is you got to look at the big picture too. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, if 2 shots don't go, now you're like, everything's fine and we're great, and you know, you're in first place probably, and all these things that it's that final line. So we're playing good basketball, and you know, to give you perspective too, that these guys need to keep in perspective, that our fans need to, you know, we've been here before. I mean, last year on this date, roughly the same exact time in history, our numbers are better this year. Our net's better, our Ken Palm's better, you know, and last year, away we went. Every team goes through this. That's what I'm telling our guys. Every team goes through the Valley of Death. We talked about it before. You know, Mikey and I were talking, Mikey Thompson and Derek Marks and those guys. They started out league 0-3, and then you remember by the hair of our chinny chin chin, we beat UNLV. The guy made the shot, but it was still in his hand. I mean, that final line, we would have been 0-4, but we weren't. We were 0-3. We won 13 out of, I think 14 out of the next 15 or something crazy like that, and won the league. So, you know, the message to the guys and the message to our fans, it's all, you know, you secretariat. We put those blinders on. You don't look behind you. There's nothing you can do about any of that now. That's insanity. You don't have anxiety about what's ahead. Like, well, you got to do all this. No, you got to. If we get better today at practice and tomorrow at practice, and we play our best down the stretch, and Wednesday against a really good Nevada team that has faced some struggles and trials and things that we all face. That's just our mission, and you start doing that, and good things happen, and that's all we have to think about. But you know, we're in our cocoon, and you get all that stuff piling up on you, and I don't want that for our guys. I mean, Tennessee, where they rated number 1 at one point, they lost 3 out of 4, or you know, it's happening everywhere, and there's just so much parity in college basketball, and there's so much ups and downs, and you know, and you also look at the league schedule. Now that we're playing 20, it all evens out as far as playing both places, and some, you know, we went to some pretty difficult places to play in league, and we were right there, a possession away. There's things we can get better at so that doesn't happen. There's things I can get better at with this group. There's things, you know, there always is, and we're gonna keep plugging away. And you know, that's why we need our fans Wednesday. It's a big one. You know, we haven't played for a week. We want to get going. We're back here at Extra Mile. That we don't have many games left with this special group of guys that I love. You know, we lift each other up. These guys are special. If you're, you know, we all have those moments of tough losses where guys are down. This group just lifts each other up. We have the greatest practices, the greatest moments together, and we have fun being with each other. They're just awesome guys, and so there's no feeling sorry for yourself. We're enjoying our time together. I mean, you know, I get those panic moments of I don't have that many days left with Tyson. You know, he's been a cornerstone of this university, not just this program, and I'm going to cherish every second I get with him.
One of the things you said, Coach, was you wanted to be able to spend some time working on yourselves as opposed to having a game plan for something happening 2 days away. What did you guys work on most in the time between now?
Well, we, you know, just our defense, our competing, just all the basketball stuff that we can do better. The try to simplify everything. That's what I always go back to. You know, a wise coach said to me, "You see a little, you see a lot, you see everything, you see nothing." And so we're back. You know, it's all fundamentals and it's all competing and being, you know, tough competitors and you know, I think it's also we got some young guys and some good players that sometimes become a little, I don't want to say robotic, but they're just trying to do their job, well, our job as coaches is to put them in positions, the right positions, put them in the, you know, and then they got to go make plays. And so just having that ability, like the freedom to understand, you know, because sometimes you get freshmen that are good players and they're just like, okay, I don't want to make a mistake. I have to be here defensively. Go make plays. And you've done it all your life. You know what you're doing now. It's time to just play really hard and go make plays. And that's what good players do. They find ways to, you know, bust out of stuff and just get stuff done. And, you know, we're at that stage of the season where they know what they're doing. So now it's time to just, you got to go let it rip.
Last week,
one, two more?
last week you were pretty adamant about taking a hard look at the rotation.
Yeah.
You were up to 11. I don't know if Thursday you talked about maybe 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Have you made any kind of resolutions?
Well, I laugh because just when I think I have it figured out, you see something different that you don't think you're going to see. And so you just, maybe I'm looking at it in the wrong lens. Maybe really our strength is that, and I have to just roll them all out there and then figure out who's playing good that day, because maybe that is our strength. We got 11 guys that really care and that are all in the battle together. And so, you know, you think as a coach, you don't want to pencil yourself in to think, well, it's got to be this way because this is what the book says. Well, you got to evolve to what each team is telling you. And so that, maybe there's that. But again, it's just one of those things. It's a spin of the wheel a little bit, but that's a credit to these guys. We got 11 guys that are just great attitudes, great. You know, nobody's feeling sorry for themselves. Nobody's, you know, they're just coming, lifting each other up, competing our tails off, and I mean, our practices are terrific, and that's what I love about these guys. They're fun to be around. We enjoy each other, and when I say Tyson because I've had him 4 years. Omar and Al, you know, I don't have many days left with them, so we're all going to cherish these together and see the forest for the trees, and the fact that this is a special time for us, and we want to go out playing our best.
What do you make of Nevada?
What was that?
Nevada, and obviously had a lot of close losses, but I mean, they got you look at their talent, kind of similar to yours, like kind of, you know, a lot of individual
no
talent.
doubt. I mean, first of all, they got a great coaching staff. They got great players, and it's, you know, it's just basketball. It's a weird, you know, you watched November, I'm like, they're playing better than anybody in the league. And it's just one of those deals. It's just basketball. And, you know, I'm not in their locker room. I'm not at their practices. I don't know, you know, but they've had some tough ones that just didn't go their way, that kind of thing. But I know one thing, they're going to come in here and it's going to be two teams getting after it. That's why we need a great crowd. That's why we, you know, it's a 8 o'clock.
What do they do best?
What do they do best? Well, you know, the start of the year, their numbers were off the chart shooting the three. Coach Alford's teams always defend. They run their stuff well. You know, he's a great coach. And so I think they're just a pretty complete basketball team on both ends, and they got great size too. They're a big team.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Okay.